Welcome everybody to this corner of Spain known as Catalunya and to the Grade 1 circuit of Circuit de Catalunya Barcelona. It's Johnny Palmer and Graham Goodwin. Welcome you to, in fact, a brand new season of the European Le Mans Series, and when you include the Le Mans Series initial start for this particular championship, we're into season 22.
Wow.
Which has flown by, frankly, but set up really well for a massive entry across 6 races. Everyone takes a pause, of course, in June, but prior to the 24 Hours of Le Mans, we have the 4 Hours of Barcelona tomorrow, followed in a month's time by the 4 Hours of Le Castellet. And on paper, this has got to be one of the best entries going for the European Le Mans Series through those 20-plus years. We're welcoming back the LMP2 category. However, to bring it into alignment with the World Endurance Championship, there's been a slight tweak here and there, including the first thing that I noticed, which is the background colours of the number panels. They've now changed to green to match the WEC cars. 4 Hours of Barcelona as mentioned, then we're off to France in a month's time, a pause in June before trips to Imola in Italy, Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium, a return to the Goodyear 4 Hours of Silverstone, so back in the UK for the first time in 5 seasons, and then we complete our year as usual in the Portimão venue of the Algarve International Circuit for a Saturday race. But yeah, so much to talk about in LMP2, including mainly, Graham, frankly, the variety that we've been able to get interested in this. Some crossover from the World Endurance Championship cars into ELMS, it's fair to say.
Loads and loads and loads and loads of new drivers, new cars, new liveries, new numbers on cars we've seen before, and, well, in particular, LMP2. 3 cars we have not seen in the European Le Mans Series. We'll talk of those. Here's one of the new liveries. Yes, it's a bit of a take on the LMP2 that's from his brother-in-law, Francois Barodo, but Charlie Samani has switched the white tribute of the Breton flag to the silver, and it's fantastic. Come and take it. I'd love to. It's very pretty, but I don't think you'd like me to. That is the new look JMW Motorsport, number 66 car. Good to see them here. Jimmy Bruni back in the saddle at JMW for the first time in what feels like about 150 years, but it's been somewhat shorter than that. It is the Corvette at the end of pit lane, and we'll talk a bit about that car because there's been dramas for TF Sports. New look for AF Corse and the Richard Mille-backed car, the number 50, in a beautiful blue and white livery. It's all new, Johnny.
Yeah.
It's all new, and we're back with a great crowd here this afternoon for qualifying at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya.
Well, 12 months ago, Barcelona was undergoing quite a lot, or Barcelona circuit was undergoing quite a lot of regeneration work. They were building a significant hospitality suite above the back straight between turns 9 and 10. You couldn't access the grandstand that overlooks turn 10 a year ago, but that now has a full pathway both on ground level and also about a story up, because there's a very narrow wooden bridge. There's always been a bridge across the paddock here, but that's kind of been replaced now. And yeah, you and I caught a glimpse during the previous Ligier European Series race of the amount of people that are in that grandstand. It is fit to bursting, and the huge grandstand that overlooks this area, the pit garages and the main start-finish line is also well subscribed to. Not the first time we've seen a Corvette in the European Le Mans Series. I think about Lava competition.
C7.
Well, not this Corvette. No. Yeah, they would have been the front-engine version.
We've never had a C8 version of the Corvette in the European Le Mans Series. This is, of course, the Z06 GT3R, as our American cousins would like us to say. This is a unique opportunity to see the Corvette in this colour scheme for possibly an unhappy reason. The 82 car. This is the 82 car, will remain the 82 car, but is actually the 81 car
9,
from the FIWC.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. LMP2 qualifying has started.
And the reason it's the 81 car is because the 82 car for the LMS, which should be here, the beautiful silver livery, was comprehensively disassembled in a testing accident at Spa about a week ago. So this is the car that has been serving duty with TF Sports as their 81, and oddly enough, Tom Van Rompuy here in the paddock from the WC squad. And a brand new Corvette has just been delivered to the HQ of TF Sport in the UK, which will replace this car as the WC car. But by the time we get to Port Ricard for round 2, order will be restored and the silver livery will remain. Behind that car, you can see, just peeping out, the gunmetal grey and highlighter yellow is another new mark for the LMGT3 ELMS roster. That is Mercedes-AMG, of course, with Iron Link, who made the switch from their championship-winning Lamborghini from last season, Mercedes-AMG. We've already seen a quick shot aboard the third new make, and that is McLaren 720S GT3 Evo for United Autosport. So 3 cars we've not seen in LMGT3 in the European Le Mans Series, and in the case of the Mercedes-AMG, a make we've never seen in the ELMS before. And this matches, I think it's 2014 we last saw this level of variety, 6 makes in the GT standings in the LMS, and that was across 2 classes, not one, when we had GTC for GT3 class cars and GTE. It's one of the 2 Kessel Racing cars, handsome livery for the 74 car.
And these, if you follow the World Endurance Championship, they are exactly the same spec as in sport, technical regulations. Yes. So they have the torque sensors and they have the energy burn rather than the fuel burn, which will be looked at by the race officials throughout the stints.
Yeah, any and all of these cars, with one technical exception, can be rolled out onto the grid of the 24 Hours of Le Mans. The one thing we don't have here are the brand new position screens on the sides of the cars, and many of these cars will be racing at Le Mans, and for that they will need to be fitted with those screens, which the LMP2 cars won't be. But this is LMGT3. It's the only other championship in the world outside the WC which runs to exactly the same regulations. IMSA's WeatherTech Sports Car Championship now have the torque sensors on their GTD Pro and GTD cars, but there are some subtle differences in the technical regulations there.
The other thing is about tyre allocation, because it's a little freer in the European Le Mans Series compared to the World Endurance Championship. Tyre allocation is still use as many tyres as you wish across a weekend, and with thanks to Goodyear for that amount of supply. There's a bit in the regulations that says that actually, as the GT tyre manufacturer, Goodyear need to make available 2 different compounds. I had a really good chat with a guy called Kieran from Goodyear. I should have got his surname at the time. He's a lovely guy from Northern Ireland, who said, well, yeah, it does say that in the regs, but at no point really are we expecting any of the 6 tracks to need a harder compound of tyre. So it's going to be mediums throughout, and the Goodyear Eagle, which is a really solid tyre, and that's generally what everyone in GT ranks is saying. There
is a new tyre coming from Goodyear for the GT cars for the FIWC. That's not expected to be in use before the second half of the season when we get into the flyways. I think into Lagos is where we expect to see that tyre. That's given us plenty of time, 4 minutes to kind of cover whilst these cars start to get up to speed. We're beginning to see the first laps at speed, but coming down to the kind of lap times that we might expect to see topping the times in the next lap or 2, Johnny.
But it's worth making the point, this is also a bronze-only session. Bronze drivers permitted only, and that will be the same for the LMP2 Pro-Am division as well. Remember, LMP2's back again with the option of having a bronze driver or not having a bronze driver, and if you do have one bronze, you're automatically into LMP2 Pro-Am, and therefore it must be the bronze that does the qualifying. But these are always fascinating sessions for that reason. It's not there is no hyperpole that you get in the World Endurance Championship. This is just a straight 15 minutes.
It is indeed. Lots of new to get used to, including colours. Not this one. This is pretty much as was last season, the 57 car, and it will be the car guy, Takeshi Kimura, who currently has got the quickest time, although we've got plenty of time to be sliced out of that. Kessel Racing's 57 car, but known to one and all as the car guy car. There is Kessel Racing. And, if you have, I think that was, is that Miguel Molina?
It was, yeah.
Reigning Le Mans overall winner, lest we forget. And local boy made good. Great to see him here, and big smiles from him all weekend so far. But Takeshi Kimura pushing hard, And one of the very, very few in this field that we can say pretty much same team, same car, pretty much same drivers. There is a bit of difference. Martin Berry, meanwhile, goes through, and he's aboard this number 63 iron-linked Mercedes-AMG. Martin, of course, moving across from his very pink Aston Martin last season. Shares this car with Morgan Hannafin, who was aboard the car with him last season. But they're joined by Fabian Schiller, the Mercedes-AMG factory driver for the race tomorrow. He goes through with a 1:42.257 at this stage, and going through second quickest. I think it's the third car that was in that same group. Celia Martin for the newly minted, there she is in the background, the pink and white Iron Dames Porsche, run by Proton Competition here for the Iron Dames. And the Iron Dames now entirely switching to Porsche in all of their GT competitions.
Yes, and to ELMS fans, exclusively ELMS fans, they'll say, well, what's the big deal there? Because they ran Porsches last year as well, but the Lamborghinis, you might remember, were their World Endurance Championship.
And Michelin Le Mans Cup. So Michelin Le Mans Cup, we saw the Iron Dames in Porsches, and we have 6 Iron Dames racing this weekend. There's another of them. We have Michelle Gatting, who will be in the race tomorrow, with the 3 girls that are going to be in the 85 car in the LMS, a new look duo in the Michelin Le Mans Cup, and in the supporting Porsche Carrera Cup France, Karen Gaillard with took the junior female shootout for Porsche Carrera Cup France and is doing a full season there in a fully liveried Porsche 911 GT3 Cup this season.
I notice on both the Porsche in this ELMS race and also the Michelin Le Mans Cup, they've taken the option to add a bit more pink on there, as in they've blanked out
the rear windows,
the window behind the B pillar. Yeah, so it's almost like a Porsche panel van.
It's a van, yeah.
I don't think Porsche will be particularly appreciative of that.
Sorry, Porsche.
But it just reminds me, it's a change from season to season. Here is a Ferrari, the Duncan Cameron car.
It is a 55 car, Spirit of Race, and taking a choice this weekend, Duncan Cameron and Matt Griffin, 2 of the 3 drivers with David Perel for this car, because they've got 2 full season campaigns this year. And their other full season campaign is the British GT Championship, which has also, by the way, got its opening round this weekend, and they've opted to start with the European Le Mans Series. Yeah. Because why wouldn't they?
One of the reasons they're changing tyres is that the weekend is split into what's called competitions in the sporting regulations, and this current competition begins in this session and continues all the way into the race, as in, well, this is more relevant when we get to those classes that have heavily restricted tyres, but it's an excuse to scrub race tyres, basically. And you can't do that in free practice, because free practice tyres do not carry on into the race or qualifying. So I think LMP2 teams might do a bit of that as well, just to take that release agent off and make fully prep a set of tyres for the final stint.
Let's talk lap times now. 6 minutes to go. And it is still Martin Berry at the top of the times, 1:42.257. Martin was quick last year in the Aston Martin. I don't expect him to be much less quick in the Mercedes. Celia Martin, as we said, second. She's still on pit lane at the moment. And then it's Castadio Toledo in this, I think, achingly pretty livery they've got on that car. The 50 Richard Mille, of course, a car. It's not this car. That's work out. That is the 74 Castle Racing machine.
So that's the car that Miguel Molino will race later on, but Andrew Gilbert's doing the qualifying.
And he's 4th quickest at the moment, ahead of the Racing Spirit Le Mans Aston Martin, Clement Mathieu. Clement, one of 2 drivers stepping over from last year's FIA World Endurance Championship effort with D-Station Racing, together with Erwin Bastard. That pair will carry on for the European Le Mans Series this year with Racing Spirit of Le Mans, who, by the way, is the team that replaced D-Station in the WEC. Here is the first sight on pit lane of the United Autosports McLaren. That car is in the hands of, we're going to have to be careful with this, Michael Birch, not Michael Burke.
No.
Because we've had Burke, spelt Birch in English.
We've had Gustav Berg from the Berg family, who hail from Denmark. And the correct pronunciation of the surname Birch is Berg in Danish, but it's Birch in English.
It is indeed. This is Michael Birch.
Correct, well done.
Another ELMS debutant, as we see the number 82 car in the hands of Hiroshi Kazumi.
Now, the other one I thought we might have a slight issue with is Scott Noble, because he's been entered on the official list as Anthony Noble, because that'll be what's on his driving licence. However, I noticed the screen, our timing screen, does say Scott. So, unlike a bit of confusion that we had with a certain Mr. Huffaker in the past, yes. Scott Huffaker, whose real name is Gregory.
Yes.
That did rather confuse one or two of you, because why on earth are we calling him Scott? Well, that's actually his preferred name. Yeah. And Scott Noble's just the same, but I think even on our graphics it will say Scott now for the number 66 car. I love that new JMW Motorsport livery.
Nice, isn't it?
It's harking back to, obviously, you know, the yellow and red that they've had for years, a bit of black on there as well, but it's so new. Yeah, it's sort of, I was staring at it open-mouthed when I sat in the grandstand yesterday to try and digest all of these new cars.
I just thought you were having an episode, but apparently not. You're staring at a car.
I just like staring at brand new race cars that look good for a new season ahead.
Who doesn't? So through we come. 3 minutes to go in this session. Martin Berry still leads the way. So it is Mercedes-AMG, Porsche, Ferrari, Aston Martin, Ferrari, McLaren. And then we have the GR Racing car, the 51 AF Corsa car of Charlie Samani, then the Corvette of Hiroshi Kazumi, and it is the 60 Proton competition car, which itself, by the way, similar but not identical, actually more the better for much more black on the black and orange livery of the 60 car. Handsome looking livery effort from Proton competition. That is the 13 car lineup for the European Le Mans Series for our full season.
Any threat of a passing shower seems now to have left us. It was looking pretty gloomy away in the distance, north of the track, but blue sky and some light fluffy cloud above us. Temperatures very comfortable as well, not too hot, not too cold, and that's a condition that these race engines will certainly like, together with the tyres as well. But the new kid on the block, as in the Mercedes-AMG, in the hands of Martin Berry, who is vastly experienced in the European Le Mans Series paddock, is not quite bossing this session, but a couple of tenths clear of Celia Martin. She'll be happy with her performance so far. Onto a second set of tyres, so that's a race set nicely prepared.
Not seeing at the moment anybody that's really threatening Martin Berry's time here. He's just put in a purple sector in Sector 2.
Yes.
Slightly outside at the moment his own schedule, as we see Martin coming to the line. It's 2 purple sectors for Martin Berry, but still not an improvement in time. But it does go to show, doesn't it, that there is more pace available to Martin. Might this be the lap? He actually puts the hammer right down, or does he have to? Clement Mathieu,
improved.
3rd quickest, so the Aston Martin up to 3rd now, ahead of Castadio Toledo. Improvement as well from Takeshi Kimura. He comes up from the pretty much the back of the grid up to 6th. So there's improvements coming all over the place. Even an improvement, by the way, Claudio Schiavone closes the gap. He's in the window with a group at the back end of this grid, something like 2 seconds off their pole position at the moment.
So Berry quicker again. Who else might be there or thereabouts? Andrew Gilbert's first sector is mightily impressive at 30.1.
Clement Mathieu as well, so he's within a tenth of a second of the pole setting pace. What's left in these cars? The tyres on them, Johnny, are pretty new. There's life in these tyres. It's not a tyre battle here. It's, can you get the best out of them?
The other thing is, of course, they have to be brand new. Any tyre used in this session has to be stickered. It cannot have been used anywhere else in the weekend. So it just takes a bit of time, I think, as I say, to get that top surface off and then to get to the temperature. No tyre warmers permitted in any of the categories that we will witness over the next hour and a half or so of qualifying. So it's about, you know, not pushing too hard, being very sensible. And this is where the driver coaching is so crucial for these bronze racers.
Andrew Gilbert, I fear, has potential there He has improved. He's just gone 4th. He's on the 2nd row of the grid in this 74 car. So that is a good qualifying performance for Andrew Gilbert.
Were you bothered about track limits potentially on that lap?
It was the previous lap. I was
fine.
just trying to work out what I was looking at.
Yeah.
It was track limits called for the previous lap, but late.
Yeah.
So Andrew Gilbert does nail in a 4th quickest time in the session.
Yeah, it's a legitimate time as Martin Berry comes back into pit road in the 63 Mercedes.
I think that might
stay on board.
That might be Martin's 2nd. I think he had a pole position last year. He was certainly in contention a couple of times, but
in a Ferrari that was, wasn't it?
It's no, the Aston Martin.
Oh yes, sorry, of course.
The one that showed with Johnny Adam.
Yes.
But it will be, of course, the first pole position in the European Le Mans Series for Mercedes-AMG.
It will, because they've never had a chance to do that.
They have
before.
Not. 100% record.
So rock up to your first meeting, get the pole position. Question is, can Martin Berry continue this consistency of a 100% record throughout the course of the campaign? History would tell you probably not, actually, because the amount of chopping and changing in amongst the GT ranks. The other thing that we've not spoken about is that success ballast is still part of the regulation for this year, as it is in the World Endurance Championship. So this is the only meeting where GT cars will all run at their base weight and no more. But moving forward, if you can draw on the previous 2 race results and the current championship positions, cars could run as heavy as 45 kilos. Here are the top 3, though. Clement Matter in the Racing Spirit of Le Mans Aston Martin, car number 59, 3rd fastest. The Iron Dames car of Célia Martin, welcomed into the main ELMS driving lineup for 2025. She finishes 2nd after a couple of sets of tyres were utilised in that session, but a first ever pole position in the GT ranks for the Mercedes LMGT3 car. And Martin Berry puts the car there for Iron Lynx.
It is Martin's first LMGT3 pole position. He had 2 pole positions for JMW the previous year in GTE AM.
That was a Ferrari, you see.
It was a Ferrari, but last year did not manage to nail in a pole position in his Aston Martin.
And speaking of Aston Martin, well, they did manage to get onto into the 3rd position for the grid alongside the Richard Mille Ferrari. But let's catch up now with Steph Wentworth, who's found Martin Berry.
I'm joined by Martin Berry with a new team this season, Iron Lynx, and a brand new car as well, the Mercedes-AMG. That's the first pole for Mercedes in the ELMS. Congratulations, what a way to start the season.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a dream start, isn't it? Obviously the race is tomorrow and that's what counts, but it's nice to start off really well. The team's just been amazing in terms of they've had such a methodical process during the prologue and then free practice and everything like that. So it's just been such a great systematic process to get to here. So full credit to the team for all the support and the way we've worked through the process. So it's great.
And you've driven the Aston before last year. Now with Mercedes, how is the car different to you? It seems like you've taken to it really well.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of reputation with the AMG that it's a very bronze-friendly car, and I find that. Obviously a pro can extract that last window of performance out of a difficult car, but for a bronze it's a little bit harder. So this car is just so confidence-inspiring, so predictable, and it's just a really lovely car to drive. So it suits my old man driving style.
And finally, you're with a new team, but you've also got Lorcan, who you've driven with before, but Fabienne is a new teammate for you. How have you guys worked together so far?
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's been such a great experience being part of Lorcan's journey and watching him progress as well. He's doing a mega job, and so it's almost like a proud father. It's like quite nice watching that. And Fabi's just brought so much experience to the team around the AMG. He knows every nook and cranny of the car. So setup-wise, data-wise, he's just been incredible. I think he's been with the car for 8 years or something like that. Yeah, money can't buy experience, so it's just so good having him as a teammate.
All right, well, best of luck to you all for the race.
Great, thanks a lot.
Martin Berry, who is Australian originally, although has the Singapore national driver now, according to his licence, and he spends an awful lot of time there. Here are the times: 142.257, ahead of the Iron Dames car of Célia Martin. Then Racing Spirit of Le Mans Aston Martin, number 59, Martin's old mount, Richard Mille, AF Corsa Ferrari number 50, fourth fastest. The times at this point are pretty narrow, ahead of the two Kessel Racing Ferraris, number 74, Andrew Gilbert, and the 57 of Takeshi Kimura. Then the 55 Spirit of Race Ferrari for Duncan Cameron. J&W Motorsport Ferrari, 8th fastest, ahead of the United Autosports McLaren and the GR Racing Ferrari. And finally, 51 AF Corsa Ferrari, the TF Sport Corvette. And I missed the final car.
It was a prototype competition.
There we go, thank you.
Resting on their tires under park
Well, this is where we start to have the new generation of LMP3 in the European Le Mans Series. Johnny, it is 10 cars, 3 different chassis. The Ginetta is represented here with D-Car Engineering as it is in Michelin Le Mans Cup. No Odess chassis in the European Le Mans Series. It's a single Duquesne for the WTM by Rinaldi Racing Squad. The remaining 8 are all Ligiers, the JSP325 and the same Toyota X-Track powertrain that we've seen already in the Michelin Le Mans Cup. I have to say, with thanks to Jeff Carter in the media room, we've talked about that pole position being a pretty extraordinary time. It was an extraordinary time, and we'll add some depth to that as we get the cars on track. There's potential record-breaking stuff to be done here. Let's wait and see just exactly what comes from amongst this group.
So the grid decided for one of the 3 classes. We will be having 15 minutes worth of LMP3 qualifying next, then LMP2 Pro-Am, and then theoretically the fastest cars, because you can use any one of your 3 drivers if you're in LMP2 heading for qualifying, as opposed to LMP2 Pro-Am, which is a bronze only session. Remember that if you were following our coverage of the Michelin Le Mans Cup a little earlier on, LMP3 in that championship now is dual layered, similar to LMP2 in this one, as in you've got LMP3 silver in Michelin Le Mans Cup, and LMP3 which must include a bronze. Now the rule in LMP3 here is that yes, there's got to be a bronze, and you can top it up with a maximum of 2 silvers. There's always been a bit of a grey area as to if you want to use a gold, what's your other combination? I don't know whether is bronze gold?
Bronze gold you can have.
But you can't have bronze gold.
You can't have 2 drivers of the bronze and the gold, I don't believe. I think you can have a bronze and a silver, but I think you have to have 2 bronzes with a gold.
Right, yeah, because of the amount of time that the second driver would need to do. If I just peer over to this little sheet here, it will tell me which combinations are permitted. Yeah, so there's if you're entering with 2 drivers, you can't have a gold at all. The only option for a gold is with 2 other bronzes, but we haven't got any of those, so it's a bit of a pointless conversation, in truth. I like to cover off as much information as possible. As
we wait for the cars to make their way out here, Michelin Le Mans Cup, we saw the extraordinary time in qualifying. We'll talk about the outright ELMS LMP3 lap record. Here is a 1:34.761 set by Manuel Espirito Santo last year. So 1:34.761 is the fastest time we've ever seen around Barcelona in the ELMS in an LMP3 car.
Yeah.
Okay. Race lap record is 1:38.387.
Yeah.
So
1 minute, under 1 minute to start LMGT3 qualifying
whether or not
session.
these guys can get
Please let's
Okay.
ask drivers to respect tracking rules.
No limitation as to who you can use in this session. It's not bronze only, hence why someone like Manuel Espirito Santo could take pole position 12 months ago. But there's been a significant uptick in performance for these brand new LMP3 cars.
It seems, yes.
We have 1 Ginetta, we have 1 Duquesne,
Under 30 seconds to open pit exit.
Ligier JSP325s. They're all powered by now the same Toyota V6 twin turbocharged engine.
Yeah, the other change from last year is all single car teams. So it's 10 single car teams. The new or returning boys and girls are M Racing,
9,
first time in the
8,
championship for several
7,
years.
6,
their very pink car
5,
in a short while.
4, 3, 2, 1. LMP3 qualifying session has started.
Is that mandated to be a single car team? Was it just how it's turned
Just how it's
out?
turned out.
Okay, fine.
Just
There
how
was
it's
no
turned out.
rule to say.
There's just a huge amount of demand, I think, is what it comes down to.
So it's the
They're-
fair thing to do.
And they're looking to reward teams with loyalty. So let's tell you who's out there. The first car in the order there is the 35 Ultimate car. That is in the hands of Jean-Baptiste Lehay, one of the brothers Lehay aboard these cars. The 11 Euro International car, Ian Aguilera, switching from the Ligier European Series, the Mexican racer, having already won it in LMP3 in the Asia Le Mans Series this year. The 15 RLRM Sport car, Guillaume Henrion. We'll talk about Guillaume, I'm sure, during this session. But that is the defending championship winning team from last year. Cool Racing becomes CLX Motorsports, their previous title winners. And the 17 Ligier is Paul Lancher. Just out is the Team Virage number 8 car, their previous championship winners in the Ligier European Series, of course, and all sorts of race wins in LMP3. Rick Kern aboard that car. Racing Spirit Le Mans with an eye-catching new livery for the Swiss team, Marius Fossard. It is Jean-Baptiste Lehay, as we say, in the 35 car. M Racing, Quentin Antoinel. Duev de Decker from Belgium is in the 88 Inter-Europol car. We wait to see who it is that DCAR Engineering in the number 4 Ginetta and the 12 Duquesne by W10 by Rinaldi Racing will bring to it. It is Wyatt Brickercheck, so it's 2 qualifying sessions in the same afternoon for Wyatt in the DCAR Engineering number 4 Ginetta. And aboard the 12 car, it is Griffin Peebles from Australia. And Griffin, another young man who's already taken race wins in LMP3 this year, again in the Asia Le Mans Series, helping Breton Racing to the title in the UAE.
Again, these are just the drivers selected for this qualifying session. I think there's scope for qualifying duties to be shared amongst other drivers through the course of the year. Rarely would a bronze be put out, but if you've got a couple of silvers, which most teams have, then there is the scope to chop and change a little bit, depending on whether you've got a track specialist, someone who fancies their chances a little bit more. That might even be decided after the first free practice session, depending on precisely when through the weekend you've got to put forward your qualifying driver. Generally, they do have to be nominated prior to the session. So Wyatt Brickercheck, who's on double duty this weekend, and in Ginetta's, not saying Ginetta, but he has become to some degree a Ginetta specialist in this new G61 LT P325 Evo. We're already on the Evo, are we? This is the first one, surely.
No, that was 2020 car. The first one was the 2020 car.
Yeah, but okay, but it wasn't an Evo of a G61. Was it called a G61 in 2020 as well?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, my apologies. So rather than the other numbers, the nomenclature just being moved up.
Just adding stuff.
Well, Duquesne have just added 1. Ligier makes a bit more sense in that it was a car built in 2020. It's now a car built in 2025. So you change the number accordingly. But all with this, well, Toyota engine, which has split opinion, let's say. It's not that rumbling V8 anymore. It did sound glorious, but we did say on several occasions last year to savour those days of the outgoing power unit. It is less thirsty than the previous Nismo power plant, so that means that hopefully, point to point, stint to stint, it'll be less concerning about the amount of fuel being burned. These cars are not measured on energy, they are measured on pure fuel being put in. And it might mean that there's a bit less fuel saving that needs to be done through the course of a 4-hour race.
There we go. We're already into the 4th minute of this session. Times beginning to come through. Looking for times in the middle upper ranks of the 130s. Not there yet. Ian Aguilera, expecting good things from him. Guillaume Henrion will surely be a factor here as well. And then we've got Wyatt Brickercheck. We know he's been at the sharp end of LMP3 qualifying. Expect to see good stuff as well from Griffin Peebles. He's had plenty of time this week with the testing we've had for the prologue for the European Le Mans Series at this track. But, I don't think he's done much, if anything, here before this week. So watch as the times start to tumble, and we'll be getting, I think, into the sub-140s this time around. We will be well into the sub-140s this time around.
And this is just whilst the tyre is getting up to temperature. You cannot pre-warm any of the tyres being used, even though we've now changed tyre manufacturer from Goodyear to Michelin for this particular session. We'll be back to the Goodyear Eagles for LMP2 Pro-Am and LMP2.
Already into the 137s, Adrian Closmeniel, my apologies, for the CLX Motorsport number 17, quickest in this round of laps. He's in 137.3s. He's a massive 23 thousandths of a second quicker than the racing number 60 car of Antonel.
Also purple a little further down for Ian Aguilera. So again, this is the typical LMP3 type qualifying session in that somebody finds their way to the top and then 6 or 7 cars later they're down to the bottom 6 again, or the bottom of the 6. So it will chop and change an awful lot through the course of this session. Adrian Closmeniel fastest so far by 23 thousandths of a second for CLX Motorsport, but Quentin Antonel really not that far away. Marius Fossard, Jean-Baptiste Lehay, Julien Henrion, they're all occupying very similar parts of the racetrack, so we'll have a stream of improvements because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the top 6 are all about to go purple potentially, compared to the 137.3 that's already been set by Adrian Closmeniel.
In fact, all bar, what, 2?
Yeah.
Are looking to into the 136s for Closmeniel. Also, Jean-Baptiste Lehay through to the 36s. So is Ian Aguilera. Let's follow a leader from there on in. It becomes more difficult, I think, from this point on, halfway through this session.
Who are we still waiting for in that gaggle? Marius Fossard due across the line very shortly. And this time, Griffin Peebles goes quicker than anybody else through the first sector. So could pick off Adrian Closmeniel to the tune of about 300ths of a second if he keeps this up. Closmeniel's just marginally away, but I'm talking very, very slim margins.
Well,
it's also a little dependent on which car you are in.
Yeah, it is. I mean, 3 drivers have set times quicker than the pole position, provisional pole target in sector 1, but the 3 of them, it's 200ths, 2.9 hundredths, 3.8 hundredths. It's tiny margins. This is going to be mighty close.
0.4 of a second, a massive gap for Adrian Closmeniel to now enjoy over Fossard and Rick Kuhn in the number 8 Team Virage car. Touch wide there from Griffin Peebles. Did he have all 4 wheels off in the WTM by Rinaldi Racing Duquesne? That was nip and tuck. If this lap remains legal, then he could elevate himself nice and high to 2nd position, in fact, for Griffin Peebles for Wochenspiegel Team Monschau. They've had a radical livery change over the winter as well. 0.2 of a second away from Adrian Closmeniel, and I'm not seeing the suspicious orange dot, so that stays as a legal time.
Quick look at Jean-Carl Venet, who is the project manager for this LMP3 effort from Duquesne. They've got 1 bullet in their gun in this competition. 1 as well for Ginetta. And 8 for the machine gun of Ligier.
There is a warning message to Griffin Peebles, so I was right about that being somewhat questionable. He was still just about the right side of the white line, but must respect track limits. The message to Griffin. Adrian Closmeniel, 0.222 of a second quicker than the WTM Duquesne. You're into a Nationals car back up to 3rd position, albeit briefly, because Rick Kuhn's now just gone through in the number 8 Team Virage car. So car 8 to 3rd, Aguilera down to 4th. Jean-Baptiste Lehay for Ultimate, number 35, is back up to 4th position. Rick Kuhn now goes 2nd, in fact, for Team Virage.
That I think is because Griffin Peebles has been docked a lap for track limits. So his fastest lap has now gone. Adrian Closmeniel, it is almost a quarter of a second up from Rick Kuhn and Ian Aguilera. Jean-Baptiste Lehay sits 4th. Margins are tiny and very tight indeed. Under 5 minutes to go. And we will see. Claes-Baniel fending off the attack. Rick Kern, though, is quicker here, as is Griffin Peebles in recovery from losing that lap a little earlier. Four minutes to go. CLX Motorsport could be on the cusp here of taking pole position, but who's going to have the final say?
You lost me there for a second because I've been ferreting around the back of our screen bank because the main...
Oh, we're back.
Oh, we're back. Our main feed of the coverage of what's going on the racetrack has somewhat disappeared. Well, it's in and out, isn't it? So
yes.
We might sound a little bit vague, but we have still got a timing screen. But if a car skates off into the gravel, you see it, we might not at this stage. Anyway, Adrian Claes-Baniel continues to lead the session with 3.5 minutes still to go.
Yeah, but in fact, the entire field here within a single second. 0.974 covers all 10 cars. That bodes well, by the way, not for all of them, but in particular for the debuting Ginetta as well. So Ginetta at the moment is running 10th, but within a second of the top time in this session.
So Rick Kuhn could be a threat here in the second position, car number 8. He's gone through the first sector quicker than anybody else, and if he keeps this up, could be 0.138 of a second faster. Ian Aguilera a little way further away from that. Now he's backed things off. Has he necessarily got the tyre performance beneath him for Euro International? One car already in the pits is Jean-Baptiste Lehay's number 35.
Yeah, Rick Kern clears sector 2. He's dropped back off the pace, but only by what, 600ths of a second. Adrian Claes-Baniel is pushing hard here. 2 minutes to go.
The answer to the question that Rick Kuhn was posing is not as happy as he thought it might be. It was a personal best through the first sector, but sectors 2 and 3 not quite as good. So Adrian Claes-Baniel still 0.2, well, a quarter of a second, let's call it, better off than Rick Kuhn. Jean-Baptiste Lehay says the ultimate car has gone as quickly as it can.
Yeah, and Ian Aguilera having a pretty good time in the first sector, dropped right back, almost a second off now after the second sector. But Rick Kern, again in sector 1 with 1.5 minutes to go, is up after his first sector, and what will be his final lap, I think. No, they'll have one more after this. Is up on the pole time. Is it going to be enough?
Running out of opportunity, but more crucially, I'd say running out of tyre performance. Again, all of these tyres needed to be brand new at the start of the session, so it's a question of how well you've treated them through the course of this almost 15-minute long session.
We've not seen an improvement in lap time for the last 2 flying laps from anybody, and that tends to tell a story, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you obviously want to push hard to try and get that lap time in the bank, and these tyres are effectively designed for much longer affairs. So across a 4-hour race, and you actually get limited tyres as well. Now, this is the one exception, actually. They don't have to have been brand new at the start of LMP3. I'm reminding myself that they can have been used in free practice, 1 or 2, or qualifying, or into the race. It's 16 individual tyres that are permitted through the course of the event.
Rick Kern has pitted, and that's him done. It's 18 seconds for the remainder of this session. Griffin Peebles looked like he was pushing hard. He's not found the performance in the middle sector either. I think this is gone in terms of a competitive proposition. Looking very good. Checkered flag is out. Adrian Claes-Baniel is up on his own sector time after Sector 1, but he's lifted right off. And they know it's done. It is done. Looking at the sector times of the other cars still out there, it is going to be pole position on their debut for CLX Motorsport.
Yeah, terrific. I mean, they have vast experience, of course, from the cool racing history of the team, but technically speaking, they are a brand new effort and not been seen on result sheets before, not been seen in qualifying before. Quani, Lapierre, excellent, par excellent, perhaps we could call them, for the CLX Motorsport crew. And Adrian Klossmanil is yet to actually finish the session. We're waiting for him to either take the checkered flag on the racetrack or head into pit road. He's deliberately getting as much of the marbles on those tyres so that he passes the ride height check and indeed the weight check at the end of the session. So taking as long as possible to head back into pit lane, and he will be warmly received by so many of his crew. Ian Aguilera finishing in 3rd position for the Euro International crew, then car number 11. Rick Kuhn for Team Virage in the number 8 car, the car that he shares with Daniel Nogales and Jacek Zielonka, the Polish driver. But it is a pole position for CLX Motorsport's Paul Lancher, Theodor Jensen and Adrian Klossmanil, who did the time. And we'll be able to catch up with a member of the CLX crew very, very swiftly. That didn't get as close to the 134.7 as we might have been expecting. 136.1 is the fastest time. And actually the gap's slightly larger than we might have expected through the course of LMP3 history. But they're all new cars. The teams are working out how to set them up best. And also, there's been a lot of testing around this place too. So if some teams have got it quite early on, then they've been able to persist with that. And those that have got some catching up to do, it might take them a bit longer to get there. But let's head to Steph, who can now find us some reaction from that pole time.
I'm joined by Theodor Jensen, driver of the number 17 at CLX Motorsport. Obviously, your teammates just put it on pole. It's the perfect way to start this opening weekend.
Yeah, it's amazing job from Adrian, and yeah, looking forward to the race tomorrow, and hopefully we take the first place home.
How is the car feeling for you, and how have you been getting used to it? We've obviously had the prologue testing, and now getting into the weekend. How are you finding it?
Yeah, in the testing we had a quite good car, and we were improving the car over the 2 days. And yesterday and today we improved over the FP1 and FP2 as well. And now car looks fast, so yeah, it's looking good.
All right, best of luck for the race. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, there you go. Steph Wentworth there with another of the young stars of today and tomorrow that we often see in LMP3. It's always good to see LMP3 doing exactly what it's designed to do as part of the staircase of talent for drivers and teams. We're going to switch shortly to LMP2 Pro-Am. We'll talk about that when we see the cars on track. With apologies, we still do not have pictures in this commentary booth, so we're slightly blind, Johnny.
It makes it interesting, doesn't it? They flicker to life for about a second, and we think, oh, they're back, and then they disappear again for about 2 minutes. So you're definitely, wherever you're consuming this race, maybe on the move or perhaps much better on your sofa somewhere at home, you can see pictures, the timing, which we can confirm briefly. The CLX Motorsport 136.188, good enough to give that car pole position from the 8 of Team Virage, then the number 11 of Euro International. Ultimate, the family squad from France, number 35, fourth quickest ahead of the WTM by Rinaldi Racing Duquesne, Racing Spirit of Le Mans, number 31, and then M Racing, RLRM Sport into Europol competition, and DKR Engineering.
Well, let's talk briefly, while we can, about the lineup next. We've already had the LMGT3. We've had the LMP3, the new look there, into LMP2 now. And LMP2 Pro-Am, this is the class that must feature a bronze driver. It will be the bronze drivers that take to the track for this 15 minutes of qualifying. There are 8 of them. They're all on the Goodyear tyre with the fabulous Gibson 4.2 litre normally aspirated V8 engine, and they're all Oreca 07 chassis. it is Dekar Engineering. That will be Georgios Kolovos from Greece. Crichton Lantoudis, also from Greece, in Algar Pro Racing's number 20 car. United Autosports have a single car in LMP2 Pro-Am as well for Daniel Schneider from Brazil. Tony Wells from the UK, in UK-based Nielsen Racing in their 27 car. TDS Racing, number 29, with Rodrigo Sales from the United States, swept the board bar one last time. Giorgio Roda in the Proton competition, number 77 from Germany. Giorgio, of course, from Italy. Frenchman Francois Perrodo in the very Italian AF Corsa team's number 83 car, and then the 99 car. This is AO by TF, the overall championship winning squad from last year, switch to LMP2 Pro-Am and bring Spike, the LMP2 Dragon, the purple dragon, with PJ Hyatt from United States, and some fantastic stuff going on in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, where this squad took the GTD Pro Championship with their world famous racing dinosaur Rexy, the Porsche last year. But great to see PJ bringing this effort here with a pretty stellar squad as well, which we'll be talking about throughout tomorrow, I'm absolutely certain. They're the 8. They are also the 8 bronze drivers, and they will be the 8 drivers we see in this qualifying session. And for me, this is all about, can anybody catch Giorgio Roda? And amongst the ones I'm looking for with possibilities here, Rodrigo Sales is capable of real pace here. PJ Hyatt is capable of real pace here. So is Francois Perrodo. And the one I think might be the guy on the climb is somebody who joined the championship just towards the end of last season, and that's Georgios Kolovos, who looks like he's got real pace in a P2 car, Johnny.
Thanks to a whole host of you on our chat to say, why don't the commentators get on YouTube? I had already thought of that, you see. So we're there now, but of course now the commentary's not going to sync up with slightly delayed pictures, only marginally delayed, but that'll be why our commentary's not entirely together with the pictures. But it should be from now, because, yeah, we're back online, aren't we? Our central screen now has fully live pictures. Thank you for bearing with us for the time being. It's just in time for these really intense sessions to begin, because LMP3, I won't say it was a damp squib necessarily, but it was dominated in the end by Adrian Klossmanil, and nobody else could get close. I feel like these next 2 sessions, particularly the latter one, with the full pros in the LMP2 cars, could be enthralling from start to finish.
They could indeed. I mean, we did see last season the dominant force in LMP2 Pro qualifying was absolutely Giorgio Roda, and he also went then to the Asia Le Mans Series and whitewashed qualifying there as well, with a number of the bronze drivers here present in amongst that. But there are signs of learning being done by a number of these guys. There is Spike, the LMP2 Dragon. PJ Hyatt's bossing his way to the front of the queue. Long season ahead here across Europe for the European Le Mans Series, and very many of these teams and drivers will also be featuring in the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Thierry Bourchier, one of the big names to join the squad. Now the reserve driver for the Peugeot hypercar team, previous F2 champion. Is he still reigning F2 champion? Is that the previous year?
No, I thought it was 2023, because he said he had a troubling year in 24 where he must have driven about 10 different cars, and it was one of those bumpy years that he will look back on and say it was probably character building.
That's a great phrase.
There you go. It's not mine. I won't take credit for that.
Jim Maguire, now in the ownership team of United Autosports. Previously, and not that long ago, would have been in this session as one of the gentleman drivers in LMP2 Pro-Am.
30 seconds to start LMP2 Pro-Am qualifying, under 30 seconds.
We needed Eduardo in our booth when our screen went down, because he just sounds so
Soothing
chilled
tones.
today,
Soothing
doesn't
tones.
he? No stress whatsoever. It's all right. It'll get sorted.
I'm sure he's like that at home, you know.
You reckon?
I've met Mrs. Fritz, and she's wonderful.
9,
when his tea's not
8,
ready.
7, 6, 5.
Thanks to Jeff
4,
Carter, Porsche was
3,
indeed the 2023
1.
Formula 2 champion, which is what I
session has started.
considered from his excellent interview that he gave yesterday during the 5:30 press conference. Questions asked by Jeff Carter. You can catch that on the European Le Mans Series social media channels. So we had, during that, Miguel Molina, Jamie Chadwick, Theo Pourchaire and Enzo Fittipaldi. And they all gave really good interviews, actually. Nice bit of time for this, because that's tough on a Friday to actually, I mean, I know probably the championship stipulated that they needed to be there, but they didn't rush off straight afterwards either. There were one or two journalists, including some bloke called Stephen Kilby, who wanted to catch up with a few, and yeah, they gave ample amount of time with some big stories.
It's a great paddock for that, and that quartet is something we're kind of putting in musical terms, something of a super group, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
The number of championships and race wins you see across those four in a variety of disciplines, and it's all come together here for European Le Mans Series. That's what we've had, Johnny, in the modern era of this championship. We're again going to get the opportunity, as we have done in every single race for the last, what feels like 3 or 4 years, at some point in this race to go, have you seen the names on this timing screen? It's nuts. It's a wonderful period. There, by the way, is the new bridge between turns 9 and 10, and the view from there is one of the best I've seen in all of motorsport.
It's an exclusive bridge, isn't it? Because you can't necessarily cross it if you're just anybody. I mean, me and you got in there last night, but I think that was one night only.
I think
we would struggle tomorrow.
I like to think it's because of our professional standing, but I would be wrong.
Yeah, it's more to do with well, our passes that would get us in on a Friday evening as a welcome party, but any more, no chance, lads. Anyway, here comes Spike back into the pit lane for a tyre change. This is where tyres really are crucially used, because it's 12 individual tyres for a 4-hour race. So, you know, you're going to have to double stint probably 3 times to get through.
Well, the thing to watch here is
40-minute stints-ish, so that's 6 stints across a 4-hour race.
And the thing to watch here is, because he's taken the opportunity to change those tyres, we're going to see the peak of performance of some of these cars in different parts of this session.
Indeed.
So these cars, this is TDS's 29 car and the number 3 car from Decar Engineering, as the AO by TF Sport team go to work.
Meanwhile, if you've found somebody else ahead of you in the session, you're not doing so well, considering 8 cars in this individual subcategory. Therefore, quite a lot of racetrack to find where there aren't any cars. And although down the tubes it might be a good idea to follow somebody else, because the toe that you pick up in the corners, you're going to be in the dirty air, just like in a single-seater. All of that turbulent air coming off the car in front is terrible across the nose and the roof of your car. So better, I would say, to be in isolation, but we'll wait and see. Maybe a bit of drafting here and there. Are there teams that have more than one car in LMP2 Pro-Am, or are they all individual?
I missed that point. I was too busy watching Johnny Edgar on social media.
Just like you said in LMP3, they're all independent teams.
Yes.
Are they all independent teams
Yes.
in LMP2 Pro-Am?
Yeah, but
We've got repeats across LMP2.
We do.
LMP2 Pro-Am.
Yeah.
But they're all one-offs within this subcategory.
So Proton, Nielsen, United, Algarve Pro, and for that matter TDS, because of their service arrangement they have with Panis Racing,
Yes.
have all got a car in each class.
I mean, sometimes the naming of the entries can be a bit deceiving, but I think they're all individual entities. So that's impressive again. The level of interest is off the scale for the 2025 European Le Mans Series. Here's the number 20 from APR, Algarve Pro Racing.
Yeah, they're coming from another great season in the Asian Le Mans Series. Gave them the title. And a win, by the way, for Crichton and Tudis in the other car. Both their cars came into the final race with a chance of taking the title. Continue to produce fantastic results in LMP2, whether it's in LMP2 or Pro-Am. This is the new look for the 77 car, a very new look. And very pleased they managed to put all the stickers on. The first couple of days this car was out there with a lot of the vinyls missing.
They've still got that tyre print effect just on the roof, though, now. It used to be the full length of the car over the nose also, but that's a bit of a callback to last year's livery. Giorgio Roda always with a smile on his face, and you can understand why with the amount of pole positions he managed through the course of the 2024 season.
So it's Rodrigo Salas leads this session at the moment. It's a 1:35.173 for the TDS Racing number 29. There he is. There it is. Ahead of Giorgio Roda, Quentin Antunes, Francois Perraudin, Dan Schneider and Tony Wells. Tony in for the season with Nielsen Racing. So there's time to come here. Looking at a big leap up the pace race from Giorgio Roda on this lap. If he can carry on the pace he's put in with his purple first sector. Daniel Schneider, third season I think in LMP2. He's searching for the two things you look for. Pace, well, three: pace, consistency, and to be free of errors.
Yes.
Not easy.
Which sort of falls under the umbrella of consistency,
It does.
I suppose. But I can see why you've singled that out, because if you make a very slight error, it's then also trying not to let that affect you too much. You can too easily think about that error onto the next lap, and that causes the next one and the next one. And it's about being able to just say, okay, I made a mistake, let's put that aside and let's carry on with the lap time that I know I'm capable of.
Giorgio Roda briefly dropped to third behind Crichton and Tudis, but he's just banged in the marker for this session, 1:31.721, a second and a half clear of the field. This
Meanwhile,
is Francois Perraudin, a little wide there from Francois.
So he did get an orange spot as a result of that, and good job it wasn't at the exit of turn 14, because that would eliminate the next lap as well. If you take advantage out of the final corner, that means you've gained on both your current and your next lap, and can be very costly in a session where you're probably only going to do 7 or 8 laps at most.
It's a good lap underway here from PJ Hyatt. He was purple first sector aboard the number 99 car, remember? Tyres 1 lap younger than some of the other cars here. He's pretty close to Giorgio Roda's pace after sector 2, so he's going to be looking for a fast and error-free final sector. Clears the final turn now, powers down towards the end of the lap, goes second, 0.3 of a second, fine lap there from PJ Hyatt.
There's obviously something going on at turn 8 though, and yet car off, which is the DKR
Damage.
Engineering.
He's been the barrier.
It's missing a rear right end plate strut.
Yes,
so
it is.
Has it looped coming out of turn 7 and 8 and just brushed?
Oh, so,
It's more than a brush, but I think it's
is.
gone into the tyre wall. That is tyres rather than concrete, I think, for Georgios Kolovos.
With a bit of luck, it's just a rear clip.
Yeah.
PJ Hyatt, by the way.
Clipped the barrier, but your reference to a clip is taking that rear deck off and
Yes.
replacing it with the whole bodywork, which is the back of the car. But that depends on whether he can actually make it back to pit lane under his own steam.
Hyatt, by the way, purple again in the first sector, but he cannot improve here.
Double waved yellows, which are slow down and be prepared to stop because the car is recovering from turn 7. The Kolovos DKR Engineering Orica.
The same will apply, by the way, to 2 other cars which are up on the provisional pole time, including Giorgio Roda. Red flag.
And that, sadly, takes Georgios Kolovos out of the reckoning, because he will not be able to continue for being the cause of the red
there's
flag.
another reason. That is Rodrigo Salas.
And that is at turn 9. So please tell me he hasn't collided or clashed with the Kolovos car, because it's immediately afterwards. But he's gone straight on at what looks suspiciously like turn 9. We're not going to know that from the yellow flags now, because yellow flags aren't indicated. Yeah, no, it's not 9, is it? It's more like turn 3. So partway round turn 3, and he's skated off at an oblique angle. No, it's turn 4, in fact. I'll get that right in a minute. Yeah, it is. So this is the camera from turn 5, looking back the wrong way down the track to turn 4. An innocuous moment. I'd be surprised if anybody else was actually involved there. Well, who caused the red flag is the question. It's more likely to be Kolovos, because the car was stranded broadside across the road. But at the same time, Rodrigo Salas has also left the racetrack, and the queue is already forming for the restart, which is going to be for 6 minutes and 5 seconds.
So it should give them a good 2, possibly 3 shots at an improvement if they've got the tyre underneath them to do it.
The issue for Georgios is that he's now straddling that very high
Yes.
sausage curb, and I don't think the rear tyres are in contact with the ground anymore.
So Giorgio, what we saw just before that red flag came out is PJ Hyatt put in a purple sector, almost 2 tenths up on the first sector from Giorgio Roda's standing time. But just before the red flag, we saw Roda respond with one that was 3 tenths up. So he's still got plenty of pace there, no doubt at all. But there is a threat here, without a doubt, from PJ Hyatt.
Yes, there is. And just watching PJ's improvement behind one of these very aero-dependent cars has been mightily impressive. He's come from a GT background, so has had quite a lot of learning to do. Was there a further collision there on the
Yes,
rear
there
left?
was.
Well, thankfully, it's a rear deck that's going to have to be replaced anyway. But what sort of damage has it done to the pickup truck? They didn't stop the rolling car in time before...
I think he was under power.
OK, possibly.
It was not rolling up a hill.
Yeah, so you think maybe a bit of power was being used as well, but then he didn't leap on the brakes in time. Could well have been. So
we've seen a note that says car 3 under investigation for causing a red flag.
Yes.
So whether or not car 29 is going to be pinged as well, we've not yet seen.
I'm fairly certain that the 29 did not cause the red flag. Sales went off just at the point the red flag was being called, but it was the Kolovos car that was partially on the racetrack, which was the bigger issue.
So I guess the question here is the Nissan pickup truck, which pulled the car off the curb.
Yes.
Okay. That de facto allowed the opportunity for the Oreca to back into it. Is that causing a collision, and is that Nissan going to be allowed back into the session?
Highly unlikely, I would say. I mean, also because it's going to be massively out of position. Oh, I thought it was going to tow it back to the pit lane. No, it will be able to go back to its rightful home, will the pickup. But is it eliminated from the rest of the session? Therefore, if anybody else skates off the road at turns 7 and 8, they'll just have to stay there because there'll be nothing to recover it.
Georgios needs to just be careful here.
Ease things back a bit, yeah.
Yeah, there's no immediate rush here.
Well, the other thing is, and I hadn't realised that this was...
Information to the pit lane. Car 3 is under Parc Fermé. He will not be allowed into the session. Car 3 will not be allowed to resume the session.
I discovered this from the driver's briefing for Ligier European Series on Friday, is that there's actually a rule that says you've got to be no more than 80
Session
kph
will be
under a red
resumed
flag.
on a short call. Session will be resumed on a short call.
And 80 kph is the same speed as a full course yellow, which we have not had so far, but is an option for Eduardo Freitas for tomorrow's race. Thankfully, the 29 car can rejoin, although it's going to bring a few stones onto the road surface. Rodrigo Sales is doing the gentlemanly thing of staying well off the racing line as he shakes the car from left to right to try and loosen some of those stones. No information within that message about car 29, so it's car 3 that's told not to rejoin.
But car 29 will need a bit of a clean-up. I'm not sure they're going to get that car out in competitive vein. He stalks away. Georgios Kolovos not very happy at all. Noted, by the way, the side profile of the 29. It is the same kind of colours as last year, but it is Mark VDS livery. That is the cat we've traditionally seen in Mark VDS livery for... Mark van der Straten is here this weekend.
Is that a Puma?
I'm sure he'd tell us.
It can't be a Lynx, because we already have a Lynx elsewhere in the paddock, but it's a
Car
big
29,
cat of some
please
description.
pick up the pace. Car 29, please pick up the pace.
Okay, so, wants him back into pit lane. By the way, car 29 and 83 under investigation for possible improvement on the yellow flags. We saw that car 99 most certainly did not, because PJ Hyatt lifted right off going through there.
Yeah.
I'm pretty certain we saw the same from Giorgio Roda, but we will see.
Well, just like there is a way of measuring cars to make sure that they're going at the right speed in a virtual safety car or a full course yellow, there will be the scope to potentially ping somebody for going too fast during a red flag period when you are returning to pit lane. And generally the considered maximum speed limit is 80 kph within a red flag period. So 83 under
Pit
investigation, as
exit
you
is
said,
back to
but
green.
as soon
Pit
as the
exit
29
is back
arrives
to
on pit
green.
lane,
Session has
we're
been
live
resumed.
again. So the APR car, number 20, right at the front of the order, gets things rocking and rolling again. Crichton and Tudis. Spikes back in the session as well, in the hands of PJ Hyatt, and well placed within LMP2 Pro-Am as well. Second fastest, 0.3 of a second adrift of Giorgio Roda.
Giorgio Roda is behind Francois Perrodo on track here. He'll want to be ahead in a position to be able to attack this session. He does that immediately, as does PJ Hyatt. I think Giorgio Roda knows there's a threat here from the O/TF car. Now, what's going to happen here with Rodrigo Sales? Are they going to release the car? There must surely be an awful lot of gravel in that car.
I suppose the issue is that if the car is going to stay there, are you allowed to work on it? Because Eduardo said that when the 3 car came in, it's under parc fermé conditions.
But then the 3 was effectively going to be excluded from the session.
Yes.
29 is not.
Yes.
And he
even
does
though-
leave with no real intervention on the car.
Okay.
So away we go. It is 7 active cars, 5 minutes to go in the session. Giorgio Roda for Proton Competition leads the way from PJ Hyatt, the AO/TF number 99. Rodrigo Sales back out. That would be a story, wouldn't it? From gravel trap to glory. If he managed to pull his way up to pole position here. He's actually the car on track, other than PJ, that's got the most real estate in front of him.
9/10 of a second in order to find. Did they even change tyres on the 29? Surely they did after that car had gone through the gravel trap. Or do they not want to use too many tyres? Because you only get 3 sets. Maybe they want to keep some pristine for the race. So it'll be a tough ask for Rodrigo Sales to clean those tyres up if they are the same set. We cut away partway through the pit stop. Francois Perrodo in the number 83 car running in 4th position ahead of Daniel Schneider's rejoining United Autosports car. So we're back to the 7 of the 8 with Kolovos's DKR engineering car unable to rejoin.
What I can also tell you is Giorgio Roda's back right up to give himself space on this and probably the following lap to really attack this session. He's already up on his pole time by 1/10 and a half, Giorgio Roda, so he's pushing on this lap. PJ Hyatt not yet up to full speed and will get possibly 2 more shots at this if he wants them.
And Tudis also improving through the first sector at least. 39.0's not too bad in the middle sector, but this car, Spike the Dragon, did a sector 2 time that was a full second quicker on this lap, and even faster than that, Giorgio Roda with an absolute best middle sector now for this session.
It is indeed. He's almost 2/10 up and looking set to improve the target, if you like, that he's going to set down for PJ Hyatt and anybody else. We'll tell you, by the way, there's going to be a rapid turnaround between sessions. They're going to try and claw back some of this ground lost. So stand by for LMP2 qualifying pretty immediately. That was right on the line, wasn't it there? It is an improvement in time from Giorgio Roda, and it's 9/10 of a second up. It's a 1:31.1.
If it's all of the tyre over all of the line, a bit like the football rule, or soccer as you prefer, then he might have got away with that, PJ Hyatt.
But PJ Hyatt on sector 1 for this lap is up, albeit only by 29 thousandths of a second. Is up on the provisional pole time. What can he do in sector 2?
So, but he's messed it up heading into the next sequence of corners, which is 7 and 8. Very late on the brakes and had to have a couple of bites of the cherry there. We'll find out just how damaging that is as the number 99 car breaks the timing limit. He's already given up on it because he's warming the tyres again, I think, for another go at it. 39.3, lost a couple of seconds, or second or a half, let's say, second and a half. Rodrigo Sales green through the 3rd sector though, so he's now only a second and a half away from Giorgio Roda's time. And then there's the second battle within this session. Francois Perrodo up against Daniel Schneider, and only a 10th between those two, but they are about a second away from a leading trio.
Watch Sales, he's up on the pole time after sector 1. What can he do in sector 2 here?
Yeah, it's It's become a 3-horse race this session, definitely including the purple Spike the Dragon liveried 99 Orica of PJ Hyatt, the AO by TF entry. Here is the car that could make the most amount of ground, though. Rodrigo Sales, if anything, revved up by his moment into the gravel trap. Look at PJ Hyatt, 0.2 of a second faster potentially than Giorgio Roda.
It's game on.
Roda's begun another lap, so we're going to get one more, I think, from the Italian, but nothing beyond that.
But PJ Hyatt's under, well, he's attacking, but he's under attack from Rodrigo Sales, who on his pace is set to take that second position from the number 99. Everything's on the table, and all of a sudden, Giorgio Roda's going for it as well. He realises the attack is on. Sales goes second, 1:31.923, so he's leapfrogged the number 99 car. Still 10 seconds to go. He can go again. It is quarter of a second up after the second sector for PJ Hyatt.
Hyatt's improving, but Giorgio Roda's improving as well, but probably not. Well, that will take him a bit further away, I suppose, from PJ Hyatt. Hyatt into turn 14, got to be clinical through this section of the racetrack. He kept it within the white lines, and Spike the Dragon will cross the line to go second, but it's not going to elevate him above Giorgio Roda, who might still. No, Roda's backed off now, so Roda didn't have anything else up his sleeve. Had PJ Hyatt managed to do it, but Hyatt runs out of laps in the end because he's seen the checkered flag. 0.239 of a second looks like it will be the gap at the end of this.
PJ Hyatt will be gutted about that, but I'll tell you right now, that was some performance from him. Under pressure with a red flag, with all sorts being thrown at him, against a guy that knows the track, knows the tyre, which is another major part of this game, remember, because PJ Hyatt's previous, or most of his LMP2 campaigns have been on the Michelin tyre, not the Goodyear we're wearing in the European Le Mans Series. That was a very impressive qualifying performance indeed from PJ Hyatt, as it was, by the way, in recovery from Rodrigo Sales, who could have ended up on the front row here, but will start from third place. But once again, Johnny, we have to applaud the efforts of Giorgio Roda. Kept it calm, kept it clean, was ready to attack when he needed to more than once, but boy oh boy, we got a much tighter competition in LMP2 Pro-Am this season in qualifying.
Yeah, it became a little bit too predictable in 2024, but that's not to take anything away from Giorgio Roda. Make for certain he has got stern competition for season 2025. A 1:31.1 though from the Italian, and yet another pole position in LMP2 Pro-Am to add to a long list. AO by TF, and PJ Hyatt, in spite of the Dragon, just a quarter of a second, less than a quarter of a second adrift in the end in number 99. And the TDS racing car of Rodrigo Sales certainly kept those other two cars very honest indeed. A bigger gap then back to the AF Corsa offering in LMP2 Pro-Am, AF Corsa number 83 for Francois Perrodo. A quick turnaround as we head for LMP2, but not before we hear from Steph Wentworth.
I'm joined by Bent Fiscal, driver of the number 77 Proton competition. Now, was there any doubt in your mind that Giorgio Roda could do what he's done? He's a fantastic during qualifying. You knew he could do it?
Yeah, of course I knew he could do it, but it was quite tight in the end, of course, with the red flag and all the debris on track. So very happy that he managed to pull it off in the end.
It's very tight in the LMP2 Pro-Am this season. Lots of potential and lots of competition. How are you feeling heading into this season?
Yeah, it's going to be very competitive for sure this year, just like last year. We're feeling quite confident. Of course, we had already a year of experience together with the whole team. But yeah, let's see how it goes. We are ready for it. So yeah, I'm pretty sure we will do a good job this year.
All right, best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So Roda does it again, but how many more is he going to chalk up in season 2025? Because there's a lot more chopping and changing, a bit more scope for variety for that pole sitter in each of the races, I predict.
But what he wants are race and championship wins, which is something he's not yet getting. We move on and on time, and we wait in just a few moments for this session to start under the direction of Eduardo Freitas.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. LMP2 qualifying has started.
And this is going to be fascinating as to who's been nominated for the all-important qualifying, because there are 13 cars in LMP2. If you have a nightmare in this session, you will still start in the bank of LMP2s at the sharp end of the field, assuming you've set any lap time at all, of course. We have had scenarios where LMP2 cars start right at the back of the order, but that is rare.
Let's run through who's out there and in what. In the number 48 car for VDS Panis Racing, it is going to be the Alpine factory hypercar driver Charles Malassi. In CLX Motorsports, number 47 car, one of two from the Swiss team, it is coming man Manuel Espirito Santo. Tom Dillman, the reigning IMSA LMP2 champion, is in Interpol's 43 car. Tom Blomqvist, GTP factory driver in the United States, is in the 37 CLX Pure Racing Orica. 34 from Interpol, it is Luca Giotto. Previously was he second or third in F2, Luca, and he was some force to be reckoned with last season. Richard de Geras, previous pole sitter here in the European Le Mans Series, is in the 30 Duquesne team car. E-Deck Sports have Job van Utrecht, race winner galore in LMP2 and previous LMP3 champion in the 28 from E-Deck Sports, one of two cars that they're got in this session. The 25 from previous European Le Mans Series overall champions Algarve Pro Racing, Theo Porcher. We talked about Theo earlier. Nielsen Racing's 24 car fields previous ELMS, WC and Le Mans winning driver in LMP2, Felipe Albuquerque from Portugal. Gregoire Saucy is in United Autosports, number 22, the podium sitter in the first race of the season, LMGT3 in the WEC for United. Matthias Jobert in EDEC Sports, number 18 car. This is the car being run by Genesis Magma Racing as part of their preparation to enter hypercar with the South Korean brand. Watch this young man. He's been dynamite through this week. Pietro Fittipaldi, one of the Fittipaldi brothers with Enzo elsewhere in the order. Vector Sports number 10 car. And finally, the number 9 from Iron Links Proton, Matteo Caroli, previously a Porsche contracted driver, then a Lamborghini factory driver, and now with Iron Links Proton and with points to prove.
It's a very tight and technical track, this. Yes, you've got the very long start-finish straight, but otherwise there's no real places to hide, and one mistake can very easily then extend into the next few corners. A lot of it is about momentum, and it's also about good time management when you get to the race itself. How many of these cars are going to pit partway through to just simply scrub this set of tyres and keep them back for the race, or do they see the track time as far too valuable for that? It's only 15 minutes. I think we will get an extension when we get to Spa. That normally happens because that's 7 kilometres as opposed to the 4.6 that we have here in Barcelona.
For me, the fascination here is we've got a number of established stars in LMP2 who are still racing in LMP2, clearly, but are also now in hypercar. We've got a number of younger drivers with points to prove, and we've got other drivers coming in, like Theo Porcher, from other forms of racing, looking to make their mark. This is big dog territory right here.
Well, a potential star for me, and I picked him out during the Dubai 24 hours in a GT car, is Mathis Jobert, who drove for Seb Lajou Racing in a Porsche Cup car, and he was right at the top of his game during that big weekend in the Middle East. And I know that he's been doing some good stuff in the sessions so far, in very different machinery, of course. Porsche one-mate category is one thing. We have, of course, Porsche Carrera Cup France here this weekend, but when you then move into these cars that operate in completely different ways, the engine's in a different place, but also that invisible hand of downforce constantly pushing the car to the floor, and it's about, you know, pushing as hard as you can to then get the rewards, but you've got to be brave.
Well, all right, Jobert is the silver in that operation with Jamie Chadwick and Danny Ugadella. Danny on his home track, and they've chosen Jobert for this run.
Yeah.
That's a statement.
Yeah. But I think the argument is that Juncker-Deya's got nothing really to learn anymore. He already knows everything, whereas Jobert, that's where the scope to improve will come from. And maybe Jamie Chadwick will get an opportunity to qualify the car later on in the season. But the quickest of the the lesser experienced of the two drivers in that field has definitely been the Frenchman to this point.
Théo Pourchaire, first driver under 1:30, 1:29.479. Almost matched by Charles Malaysia on this lap. Under 10 minutes to go. Algarve Pro Racing from VDS Panis Racing. But with Tom Blomqvist in the CLX Pure Racing number 37 car goes to the top with a 1:29.396, and this is going to change almost as quickly as I can say it. Tom Dillman to the top, 1:29.1.
43 with the yellow front of the two into Europol competition cars. The green-fronted machine is the number 34. Both have looked quick in certain phases of this weekend. Luca Chiotto yet to get up to speed in that sister car, though. Richard de Guerres currently 13th for Duquet, but he's going to improve to the provisional pole on 28.8. Just 48 thousandths of a second quicker than Matteo Cairoli in the yellow Iron Lynx Proton number 9.
This is what you would expect from a full pro session. Every sector is either green or purple. Every driver is on an improving lap as we speak. Under 9 minutes to go. De Geras, Cairoli, Dillman, Vanuta, Blomqvist, Pourchaire, Jobert, Milesi, Espirito Santo, Albuquerque, Fittipaldi, Giotto and Saucy.
It's still 6 seconds that is the spread across the order, but still one or two of them not yet in the phase of those at the sharp end. So tyre temperature still coming in. There's Théo Pourchaire to go top in the number 25 Algarve Pro Racing Orica. So 1:28.7. He's eaten the gap out by a huge, relatively speaking, nearly 7 thousandths of a second, though, now the difference between Théo Pourchaire and a certain Tom Blomqvist. So CLX joined the party, CLX Pure Racing to be exact, and now Tom Dillman over the line, 87 thousandths of a second faster for Inter-Europol competition. I want to take a breath, but I can't, because Matteo Cairoli now goes through to go even quicker in the number 9 car.
This is magical stuff. Top 9 within 8 tenths of a second. It is Matteo Cairoli that leads the session in the number 9 Iron Lynx Proton car from Tom Dillman in the Inter-Europol competition number 43, and Théo Pourchaire in the 25 Algarve Pro Racing. Duquesne team's number 30 in the hands of Richard de Guerres heads for pit lane. We've got 7.5 minutes to go.
Well, that all came in a big old wave because everybody is basically occupying a quarter of the track together, and it really depends on how they were rolled out from the pit lane. One or two held things back. Unbelievably, one of the quickest drivers in the LMP2 category for the last decade is Philippe Albuquerque. He's last in this session so far. Nielsen Racing's number 24. I laugh because it will get better for the Portuguese, but where's he going to slot in compared to the other gaps? You know, you're talking a tenth of a second, just about 2 tenths of a second, then another 2 tenths. But we were talking, you know, down to the 3rd decimal place a short time ago.
It's the top 4 within 2 tenths of a second. As a number of cars, we've got Théo Pourchaire now on pit lane. 6 minutes and 45 seconds to go. This is beginning to erupt into one of those sessions, Johnny Palmer, that we'll remember for quite a long time. Great stuff from Matteo Cairoli, Tom Dillman. Théo Pourchaire is clearly marking his territory.
Well, this is what we've been building up to over the previous 3 qualifying sessions. I'm very, very glad that the stop and go crew here will manage to fix our screen in time for the best of the 4. We've still got 6 minutes to go, as now the 37 car is already back on pit road. So this is the opportunity to switch tyres, to bank that set of Goodyears and leave them for the race, and then put on a new set of stickers potentially for one final push. And that's certainly the service that the 37 car is getting, the CLX Pure Racing car of Tom Blomqvist.
Improvement from Gregoire Saucy. He moves up to 7th place in United Autosports number 22 car, 4 tenths off the top time at the moment, and that gives him no better than 7th. Astounding stuff from this group. We're now up to 11 of the cars in the top in the top order within a single second.
Lots of big names outside the top 10 currently. So if this was a Formula 1 qualifying session, it would mean, or indeed a hyperpole session in the World Endurance Championship, we'd be losing some names on into the next. But this is all done, remember, in one fell swoop. The more traditional qualifying session of 15 minutes. Philippe Albuquerque on a new set of Goodyears as well, back into the race as such, the qualifying session as it is at the moment. 5 minutes still to go, and Matteo Cairoli tops the times ahead of Tom Dillman, Theo Pourchaire, Tom Blomqvist, Richard de Gueras and Charles Milesi, who is no stranger to a pole position here and there. Again, this is the calm before the storm, whilst tyre temperature, that crucial process of heating the tyres, is done and cannot be rushed.
We take a breath as they get back on up to speed on the second set of good years for pretty much all of these, in fact all of these runners. It's going to be 4 minutes to the checkered flag. What are we going to see, Johnny Palmer? Matteo Cairoli tops the session, but with just a tenth of a second to the good, but they've got to match and better it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Catching is one thing, overtaking another just in a qualifying session, and of course you don't have the visual reference necessarily of where the other car is on the timing screen. That's where the engineer is crucial. Push here, you don't need to push it like crazy there, and it's about managing your driver a little bit. Depending on how much each driver wants that information, it can be a distraction. Very quickly you might get a reply to say, just leave me to it.
Gilles Duquesne, the man behind Duquesne Team and Duquesne Engineering, watching the efforts of his man. Richard de Gueras currently sitting 5th, 3.5 tenths off. Still waiting for the first green or purple shoots here. And they're going to come, I think, pretty quickly. 3.5 minutes to go. And pretty much the whole field here has got room, Johnny. They've got space. There is time to make a difference. There is room to make a difference. Yes, it's 13. It's an impressive 13-car grid in this LMP2 class. But there is room to get a qualifying run together without being bought by another car. Here is our current poleman, Matteo Cairoli. Stepped away from his Lamborghini gig. And they love him down at Iron Links. Absolutely love him. Proton competition too. He's just lifting off and giving himself a little bit more space. At some point, it just does feel like this session, with 2.5 minutes to go, is going to go off like a firework again.
Well, those that are lucky enough might get 3 laps within this. Certainly Cairoli should do. Yeah, get around again. So he's completed one. He'll get this one and the next. But obviously it's diminishing returns for any cars behind, and we'll reach a point where it'll be 1 lap and a 1-lap shootout for 1 or 2, depending on how well they were turned round during the pit stops. Perhaps not surprisingly, the Iron Lynx Proton car was one of the first to leave its last visit to pit road. And how are these tyres going to be managed as well, bearing in mind that they will need to be raced upon from tomorrow from midday. A slight adjustment to the race start time. It used to be 11:30 last year, but it's a 12 o'clock start tomorrow.
And it will be midday for every race apart from Portimão for this season. So midday till 4 p.m. local, wherever we are. Now we're getting green sector times coming. The first to complete the lap with green sector times is going to be Pietro Fittipaldi. He's currently 12th in the order, and he moves up to 8th. Moves into that group, so he's 0.544 of a second. Matteo Cairoli, though, is on a charge, as is Tom Dillman. They're both on course to improve from the current provisional pole time, and now they all are. All of a sudden, it goes off, as I said, like a firework, and 5 out of the top 6 are on lap times right now that will push this lap time down again. Matteo Cairoli comes through. It's a 1:27.8. He moves the needle. Tom Dillman comes through, 0.146 off in second place in this session. More improvements. Charles Milesi goes 3rd.
He did go pole. We missed that, but Milesi was briefly ahead, and then Cairoli came through and skipped up to the top again, and now he's kind of getting buried there down to 4th position. So quickly that can disappear. You're in the blink of an eye at the sharp end, and now he's back down.
Watch de Gueras. He's on an absolute stormer.
That's not de Gueras though. That's Tom Dillman. However, de Gueras here in the Duquesne colours, the black and the green, is about to stream across the line, and he will go fastest by 0.166 of a second. The rapid Frenchman, who's had a couple of pole positions whilst he was at Duquesne, and And he loves this track as well, seems to go very well at it. So he's clear of Matteo Cairoli. Tom Dillman now 0.3 of a second slower as the checkered flag is being displayed, but only to Pietro Fittipaldi so far, locked into no better than 9th for Vector Sport.
Matteo Cairoli had been on course to better that lap time, but he's fallen back, as has Tom Dillman. Tom Blomqvist still in the mix. Richard de Geris is going quicker still. What a brilliant session this has been.
So where is Charles Milesi? He crossed the line but did not improve, waiting for Matteo Cairoli, who stays second. An absolute best through the first sector for Tom Dillman. It's going to be close, but no, he stays third as he sees the checkered flag. So Richard de Geris, well, just gone green through the first sector.
He's got it. I think he's got this. I'm looking further down the
Absolute
order.
best through the second sector as well. So if anything, he's going to extend the gap.
Jobert finishes his session 5th, a fine 5th for him.
That was a move of about 2 places for the young Frenchman, actually, to bag 5th late in the day.
Van Uterten improves, but will be no better than 10th.
Luca Giotto also improved in the 34 into Europol competition car to go 9th. Richard de Geris reined things back. No, he didn't really, but he didn't go faster. And that's the reaction for Duquesne, because they didn't need to go faster. Duquesne team with the first pole of the season in the European Le Mans Series. I think that's the seal of approval from Gilles Duquesne himself.
Well, who would have bet on that? Who would have bet on that? Absolutely extraordinary stuff. Took pole with a 1:27.664, one of 3 laps in the 1:27s, 0.166 of a second ahead of Matteo Cairoli, who'll rue the opportunity that was there and he didn't quite grasp it. And Tom Dillman, they're the top 3. Duquesne team, the number 30 car from the number 9 ELMS Proton and the 43 from Inter-Europol competition. Tom Blomqvist completes the second row. Matthias Jobert and Charles Milesi will be on row 3, then Theo Pourchaire and Manuel Espirito Santo. What a mix of established and emerging talent, though, in that session. Jean-Claude Vernet.
Yeah!
Yes, indeed, he's happy too.
So just looking back to the pole positions for Richard de Geris in season 2023, he did indeed take pole here and then at Ricard. So they were back-to-back pole positions when he used to drive for Cool Racing. What I haven't checked is 2024, but this might be his 3rd career pole, therefore, that to be confirmed. Richard de Geris, 0.166 of a second clear of Iron Lynx and Proton and Matteo Cairoli, who really did nothing wrong there. He was just outpaced into the death. Tom Dillman, who was always going to be there or thereabouts, having topped a couple of free practice sessions earlier on in the weekend. Tom Blomqvist, perhaps a disappointing 4th for the 37 CLX Pure Racing crew. Then Mathis Jobert, the new kid on the block, 5th in car number 18, ahead of Charles Milesi's VDS Panis racing car. It's Theo Pourchaire. Thought he might be going his way at some point, but that gives him some perspective. The Formula 2, FIA Formula 2 champion from a couple of years ago. 7th place is certainly nothing to be sniffed, nothing to be embarrassed about, though. He's slotted in perfectly well. Manuel Espirito Santo, who was on pole position last year in LMP3, finishes in 8th place in that session. But so much to kind of digest, really. We need the rest of the day to work things out and to really decide who is the better place across the driver combinations heading into a 4-hour race, which is a very different animal from midday tomorrow.
Yeah, cracking stuff from that whole group. Looking at the bottom of the qualifying order in LMP2, Felipe Albuquerque will have questions to ask of the team, as will Pietro Fittipaldi. But down to Steph Wentworth, who's with another of our LMP2 debutants this season.
Here with Roy Nassani, driver of the number 30 Duquesne team. Your teammate Richard de Geris just put it on pole. What a fantastic way to welcome you to the ELMS and start this season.
Absolutely amazing. I mean, the excitement here is just great. Personally, it's the first time having my car doing a qualifying with me sitting outside. So absolutely an amazing first time. A great welcome into the ELMS. The car's been great all week long, actually, even in the prologue. We were working very hard, very diligently to fine-tune it more and more and more, and here's the result. Thanks to the amazing team, and Rashad did an absolutely amazing job. So we're so excited and now focused for the race.
All right, best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Roy Nazani chatting to Steph Wentworth then, who is one of Richard de Guerres' teammates in the number 30 Duquesne car. Francesco Simonazzi is the other silver, or the only silver, in that driver combination that we have not mentioned. And will it be Simonazzi, therefore, starting that car from pole position for tomorrow's first round of the European Le Mans Series season, this 6-race campaign? We're on air at 11:40 for a midday start local time. Join us for that. Bye-bye.